Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here in the garage, Area 51, the old 1951 Chevrolet Fleetline Custom that I've been working on. And if you've been following the channel and watching the last few videos, I've been trying to get it started for the first time, but it won't start. I'm still working through that. But to complicate matters even further, my fuel system has started leaking. My eBay -6 push connect fuel line kit started leaking. I had a little leak up the front, and then the last time I had the fuel relay plugged in, it poured out the back. So it's letting go and it's just no good. I can't trust it. I don't know what's going on with it. It's possibly because it's like a cheap eBay kit. So I've done what any sensible person would do. I have bought another fuel line kit, but I didn't buy it off eBay. I bought it off Amazon. So I'm going to be switching the whole fuel system over to PTFE, still -6. I bought another kit. Let's get into it. Redo Dave, back in the house. Okay, so like I said during the intro, I've been trying to get this LS1 fired up on the Holley Terminator X Max system, and I was having absolutely no joy. And initially I ended up with a fuel leak right up here on this 180-degree fitting that was the only fitting that didn't come with the kit that I got the rest of the fuel line with, and all those fittings and stuff. And I thought maybe it's just a discrepancy between, you know, manufacturers, that sort of thing. But then I didn't film it, but I was doing another kind of try to start moment, and I could hear and then like waterfall down the back of the car, and I looked underneath and there's water pouring out from under the tank. And so that tells me one of my fittings has let go on top of the tank. Yeah, so I had my doubts about these push connect fittings, but I did some, you know, reviewing online once it arrived, because I'll start at the beginning. Like when I bought the fuel line kit for this car, I really had never done anything with AN style fittings at all, so I didn't really know what I was looking at, what I was buying, the different types there were. I thought I was buying pretty much what I have just bought, and then this push connect system sort of showed up, and I thought, well, it's been sitting in the box for 6 months, I'll use it. So I did some kind of research into is it any good, and by all accounts, all the reviews and tutorials and all that said it's a good system up to a, you know, 200 psi or something like that. And so I thought I'd be fine with it. But fast forward a couple of years, got fuel leaks, and so now I have no trust in it whatsoever. I'd probably run it on a carbureted setup, but not on an EFI sort of setup. I think the pressure might just be too high for what I've got. Can't remember what the pump's at. It's a Walbro pump. There's probably some specs in my paperwork somewhere on what kind of PSIs it runs at. But yeah, so long story short, still working through diagnosing what I've done wrong with the Holley, but we won't be getting back into that today, because I've got to, before I can really do any more, I've got to get this fuel system kind of replaced, and you know, all my fuel lines and fittings and all that kind of stuff. So I've got to make up a whole new fuel line sort of set up. And to complicate matters even further, I have 20 litres minus a couple of litres maybe that ended up on the floor of gas in the tank. So I've got to get that out somehow and back into a 20-litre jug. Not really sure how I'm going to do that yet. If I can get it up, if I could get it high enough, I could pour it straight back into there. I could try siphoning it, but I hate trying to siphon gas. I always end up inhaling it, ingesting it, you know, having a shit time of it. So, but my tank does have a drain plug in the bottom, so if I can get the car up high enough and get something underneath that's big enough to catch 20 litres worth of gas, I'll go down that route. So I'll show you. Still got a little bit of this to sweep up. I swept up most of it, but yeah, there's a drain plug. Hopefully you can see it kind of right about there, and if I can get something under there to kind of catch the gas as I try to drain it, then we can drop the tank, because I have to get to all the fittings on top of the tank and the regulator and all that. The regulator easy to get to. The main lines shouldn't be too bad. If I remember correctly, it was much easier when the body was off the chassis, but yeah, so let's get into it. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, this new kit is a PTFE kit, so it's got a PTFE liner, supposedly good up to, I don't know, a couple of thousand PSI or whatever, as long as you get the fittings right. The line should be good, whether I can get the fittings dialed in a bit. Puffed. I just jacked this up a touch higher to be able to hopefully get a bit more working room underneath. Not going to be able to get that standing up under it, so I need to find some other kind of container that can take 20 litres and hopefully dump the gas. So we'll be back. Okay, so found a big Pyroplast box, which by my logic should hold 20 litres. But yeah, so my logic sometimes is a little flawed, as you know, but we should be alright, I think. I don't know, I might see if there's something written on here that says how many litres it holds. Cube crate, doesn't say. Made in New Zealand. Yeah, see? Yeah, it doesn't, it's not really a liquid holding container, but yeah, no, it doesn't say how many litres it holds, but it should be enough. So we'll yeah, drain all the gas out of the tank, and then I'll transfer it into my other container, so I haven't got a 20 litres of open fuel sitting in a container in the middle of the garage. Let's do it. I need tools. Okay, I can smell the gas. You can see where it is dripping off of there, so be interested to see which one let go. This will be where all the gas runs down my arm. There it comes. Okay, so we'll let that drain. I'll keep an eye on it though, just make sure we it doesn't overflow the container. I did give it a good clean out, by the way, and yeah, maybe open a door or three in here and just get some air flowing, because it'll be a bit fumy for a bit. It's slow going, but she's going, and we're only up to about here. It's been going for quite a while, but we'll just hurry up and wait. It's a bit fumy though. I should really put something under the door to stop it, fumes going up to the house. Okay, just gently push that out the way. That's it. Finished doing its thing. I'm going to chuck this back in there. All going well. Hopefully that's it. Alright, I'll get rid of this and then we'll look at what we've got to do next. Okay, so just found a thing. I was pouring this back into there. Now I cleaned all this out with brake clean and wiped it all out, and you can see in that corner there's a bit of crap. That was in the tank. Well, that's what came out of the gas in the tank, but that was both my knees going snappity snap. But check this out, I used a paint filter. That looked like little wormy things in the gas. That's what I filtered out of it. I sort of stopped part way through. Some of it's in that jug now, but I don't know what that stuff is. If anyone's got any insight as to what that is, it's weird. It when you rub on it, it just turns to nothing. But they were kind of like all floating around in the gas when I got it out of the old gas tank. So yeah, if anyone knows what that stuff might be, let us know down in the comments. I've never seen anything like that before. It looked like little worms kind of curling around in there, but it's some kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's the gas tank drained. I've already kind of disconnected my grounds and stuff on that little bit of wiring you can see in there. I've got to figure out now how much of my recently added fuel filler neck and things like that I'm going to need to undo. Possibly just the bottom hoses, and then I can lower the tank and disconnect the wiring and the vent and stuff like that and get the tank out of the way for now. Yeah, what else have I got to do? There was something I was mooching around under there while it was draining. I think I was just disconnecting the fuel pump and the fuel sender and that rollover vent, which I should. See, I wonder if I have to do that from up here. Might disconnect the rollover vent from up here, proceed from there. But before I do any of that, I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee with my wife, and we'll be back in a wee bit and start getting this tank out. Okay, check it out. This is one of my push lock fuel fittings that didn't want to push lock anymore. I shouldn't be able to do that. Whoop. Maybe that wasn't push lock hose I'd written on there, so I thought it was left over, but that one there is still holding. But yeah, so I got to mop up a bit of gas that's sitting up on the top there. You can see this must have been full at one point. Fuel sender. So I just got to quickly get a rag and sort of deal to that before I carry on. Okay, so just going to quickly blow back through here. I just want to make sure there's no fuel in the line before I start. Pulling it out. Should be us. I missed my container by a considerable amount, gauging by what's all over the floor, and yeah, maybe I should have aimed that just a little bit better. Anyway, I'll mop that up and then we'll carry on. So I do want to kind of test my sending unit too while I've got the tank out. Like actually take the sending unit out and actuate it up and down just to see if the gauge is doing anything. Yeah, because it didn't seem to be doing anything before, so I wonder whether I do that before I get onto these fuel lines, and so I don't get kind of all distracted and not do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll clean this up then we'll move ahead. So I've got my fuel sender out. That's the little unit there. This is just like a generic sender I got from actually a marine shop, a boat shop, boating and fishing. Didn't seem to be too. Oh yeah, no, it does want to fall on its own. That's all right. So I'm just going to ground it out against that. So I've got it set to about half. So come in here, hit the key. I've already got the battery hooked up. Yeah, she's coming up. Yeah, so she's sitting on half, and that's kind of what I was aiming for. I'll balance this camera up there, and I'll go and modify my sender. Hang on. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. That should be coming down to empty. Yep, That'll go up to full. It should be full as a full thing. Yep, about 3/4-ish. About 3/4-ish. Oh yeah, so it works, so that's good. Yeah, kind of didn't feel like it was working before. Maybe the ground from the tank to the frame isn't great. You know, from the sending unit, because I actually put a separate ground, actually that little mamma jammer there, to the chassis, so it should be fine. Anyway, I'll put that back in and yeah, start having a look at these fuel lines properly, stop avoiding them. Okay, so sender unit's back in. I didn't punish you with watching me do that. I'm trying to line up those things because it's clocked. You know, the holes are all in odd places. It's not a normal kind of like 5-point thing. They're just kind of 4-point, and then one's odd. I think it's just one, but yeah, you can only bolt it in one way. It took me a while to figure it out. I remember it from last time, but anyway, let's have a quick look at this. This is the fitting that wouldn't stay fitted, you know, so that's supposed to, that's just no bueno. And this one here, this is the return. This one here is still, in theory, yes, I mean that's still, I shouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. Yeah, no, I shouldn't be able to do that, and that's, you know, the fuel line that came with these fittings. So this, what they've probably been sold, I actually went back and had a look at the, through all my records of purchases on stuff on eBay, and I found the seller that I bought this particular kit from, all this fuel hose and stuff, and they're still on eBay, but they had no listings at all. They were shut down, sort of thing. So I'm wondering whether there had been other issues with their products, if you know what I mean. So who knows. I mean, the fittings themselves seemed good, and they weren't leaking at the fittings, they were definitely leaking at the hose. So I suspect the hose that got sent through is probably just normal 3/8 fuel hose, or whatever it is, 1/2-inch fuel hose, maybe about half, I don't know. And yeah, like dangerous, man, like that. I'm glad I found it now. I honestly think you know, it was meant to be that front one leaked, and then that one leaked, and that before I even got this thing to run. Because I mean, I'd hate to think what would happen if I was dumping high pressure fuel into a hot engine or around a hot exhaust down the back there, you know. Boom! I should say. So hopefully I can get this PTFE style stuff to, you know, get my hoses made and sealed and good, if you know what I mean. So, but I'm happy with all my lengths and that, so I'll probably start using these as a template for making my new ones. So all my hose clamps are probably going to be slightly too big, because the actual diameter of this stuff is, yeah, damn, bigger. So yeah, so right, I'm trying to decide whether to start just pulling out all the front line, the stuff that goes from around this C-notch. I'm not sure how that PTFE is actually going to loop through and over there nicely. I'm kind of worried that it won't curve the way I want it to. I'm not sure how tight of a curve I can put into it, although this is fairly tightly curved, so we can't bend it like 90 degrees, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, right, so I'll have a little think about my plan and my life choices again, and see what we do next, because I want to figure out a way that I can kind of pressure test each of these components, these lines, before I bolt it all back up there and, you know, screw it all in, because it's going to be quite a task undoing. I don't know how many P-clamps there are running down the length of the car. So yeah, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so got all my P-clamps and everything all undone for my fuel line, the main line that runs up the front. So I'm just going to whip that out, take it out, and that way I can get a measure. And I'll measure, and I also want to check to see how well the new stuff's going to curve up around the step notch. So we'll just get under here, and one barrel. Where is it? Hopefully won't keep all this fuel line dumping on me. There we go. I suppose I should pull all these clamps off so I can pull it through there. God, man, shit got dusty when I painted this thing. Oh no. Okay, get that through there. Oh look, check that back in there. I got one down there as well. I don't know where that one came from either, so we'll find them. Okay, so got my main fuel line out, and yeah, these are off the other one, but yeah, I kind of pulled that off again, just too easy. I haven't tried that one. But I imagine it's probably, you know, just as easy to come off as all the other ones. So yeah, I really doubt whether that stuff is it series 400 push-lock fuel line. Alright, I guess this is going to just go boing. Yes, I need to get a length for my long piece. It's definitely not as pliable as the non-push-lock hose that I've got. Hopefully I've got enough of this. How should I do this? Like that. That's how I should do this. So, get some tape, wrap it around there where I want to cut it. I should hold it there. Right, so when we first cut, I guess, zip disc and see how we go. Safety gears on. Fairly straight, I think. I might cut that again actually, just cut the end off of that. That's better. I've got extra tools with this kit. I've got this little doohickey here, which is a little thing. I think that's for flaring the end. And then, yeah, and one of them. So, yeah, let's just do it. That cut's actually much nicer. It's a little bit crooked. I hope it's alright. Can't find the end of my tape. Anyway, this line I need to have one of those 180s as well as the a straight fitting like that on there. I did put that on first. Spread out my stuff. It does actually say something about cutting this back and this little bit of paperwork here. Use a pick tool to peel away the outer braid for about 1/2 inch. I don't think you actually take it off, I think you just kind of open it up. Yeah, pick tool. Okay, so got the first one on. I was having a bit of trouble getting the little ferrule thing to seat down against the PTFE liner, but got there in the end. But yeah, tightening it up, I kind of chewed up. I think the spanner they give you with it is not for assembly, it's only for, you know, taking it apart and putting it together on the car. But so the little spanner they send with it is not, you know, for everything. So ended up using just old shifty here, and yeah, sort of marked it a little bit, but I wonder if I should use a bigger one. Sorry, clang, she's as tight as she'll go. Can't pull it off that way, hopefully. Okay, so that's that one done. The yellow tape was the tape that was on there. That's just masking tape. It's quite a nice cut though. It does seem to cut a bit nicer than the stuff I got for the power steering. There's one. That one. Oh, I should have put this on first before I did all that. It's a bit like brake lines. You really should slide this over before you kind of mess with things. Yeah, that's better. Oh, oh baby. So straight back into it. Oh. So that one doesn't want to get down in there either. Gets so far and then just not far enough. Hey, okay, so got the 90° on as well, and didn't chew it up quite as bad as I did under there, but that's my main hose. It feels short, but it is tangled up. Like I said before, I want to kind of try and figure out a way to pressure test it, and the kit came with a couple of these pipe thread to -6 fittings, so I figured I might be able to kind of put a cap on the end somehow of one, and then just put some air to the other side and switch it over and just see if I can kind of hear anything, or maybe get some soapy water and look for bubbles and try that. But before I can kind of try that, I want to see if I can find something I can cap the end of that off with. So what else have we got in here? What's that one? No, got What's are those? Oh, these are like for fuel rail, and they're like fuel pump regulator stuff. Yeah. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so I have found something that may work to be able to kind of cap the end, hopefully, and it consists of a valve, a air ride valve sort of thing. I think it's like, being that it's shut, it should work. So I've just got to kind of bolt this together. Actually, that fits in there, eh? Yep. Well, hopefully close enough. I'm not sure how much pressure to kind of run into it. Yep. Shouldn't need tape on that. Alright, oh well, cap that there. Actually, you got to blow some air through it first, just to blow out any grit and stuff. Let's turn the compressor on. Back to, just had to change out that fitting because it was leaking where the AN fitting screws into it. And I've got another one here, so just as a test. Sweet. So, should be able to put that on there, hopefully not have a leak by putting some air in back here. I think we're good. That should be, what sort of PSI is in there? It's about 80 PSI. Okay, so I think we're good with that main one. I hope 80 PSI should be enough. The fuel system is like 43. Just don't know what the pump pushes out. Maybe I'll just ramp it up to maybe 100 and that should be enough. Okay, so I've got the compressor at the regulator at 100 PSI, so it's probably dropping a few by the time it gets to here, according to the little spray painters. Good. I'm just wondering whether I should maybe kind of try to route this before I go too far and cut up more of the other stuff and just make sure that this is gonna go where it needs to go. So being that it's kind of going to start up here, I thought I might as well start up here in the bay of engines, which is, so we need to feed that this end down there somehow, and then that bit's going to stay up here. Where does it go? See, I better get underneath there and figure out where it's going to poke out down the bottom. Okay, there it is there. Yeah, it's going to come on the inside of the chassis rail. Ah. How did I have this before? Did I have it? Maybe I should change its routing ever so slightly. It's going to come that way and come through here. Just want to get it well away from the exhaust, even though it's rated for like 400 and something degrees Fahrenheit or some shit like that. I can't remember what it is, don't quote me on that. I was surprised, to be fair, on what the rating actually was. So if I bring that down there, you can still P-clamp it there, maybe. And then somewhere, anyway, I'll go back up the top and I'll push it through. Okay, so I'll just finger tight that on there for now, and we'll get back up under here and try and figure out. Oh, hang on a plug. Get some goggles on so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, wrong way. Uh-oh. Damn it. Oh, for goodness sake. Now, right. Now we're talking with gas. Okay, so where is it? Oh, it's feeding up to the brake there. How did I run this before? Oh, pretty much follows along with that ear line. So come on. Hang on, this is real difficult to do like one-handed. Hopefully you can somewhat see what's going on with that light, because I can't. Yep. Right, now, so like that, come up. Why is it so much longer? I was worried that it was too short, but I think my worry was unfounded. Is it way too long? How did I do that? How did I do it before? That was kind of just ending up down here, about here. Okay. Well, I think we'll be alright arcing it up over the top there once we get the P-clamps and that on it. As long as it's not rubbing on stuff. But I may just be a little on the long, a little bit too long, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know if you can see, but it's got to kind of like curve up around the top of that step notch there. Ignore those boogery welds. But like, yeah, before I had it kind of ending up down around here at the regulator, was around about there. I'll need to check it all out properly again, but yeah, I've got like heaps of excess, so I'm wondering whether to now build my other lines. And I don't know how I made it so much longer. Maybe it didn't travel the same path down here, I don't know. It was P-clamped a bit further there, so it's bolt P-clamped through there, and then yeah. Anyway, that it possibly is too long at this point, which is not the end of the world. What I might now do is I'll do the other tank to regulator filter lines, make those. Basically I can put that back up under the car, and then that can work out how much too long my thing is. I may be able to, my main line, I may be able to kind of trim this up in the car, so it's a bit of a hassle to kind of do that. Or I may have to kind of like work out my lengths and that, pull it all out again, and then put it back in and then bolt it all up. Alrighty, so next up we need a couple of straight fittings. Hopefully I've got more straight fittings. Should be. Alright. One there. Alright, sweet. Kind of looking the wrong way. I was looking for something that looked like that, but that's the old style. So we need our 45s and our straights. So we need 2 of each of those. So for our send line, oh, this thing is still leaking gas all over the bench. The length off of there, they're about the same length. Time we get from there to there. Alright, sweet. There. Got a bit of a punch up in there. I'll do that again. Might make it just a scotch longer actually. Put some electrical tape around it just to help with the cut. Okay, so just when I thought I had my shit together, had it dialed, I managed to cross thread an AN fitting. They're normally pretty slick, and they don't want to do that sort of thing, but I managed to make it happen. Yeah. So just trying, hopefully, to clean it up. Unfortunately, it's on the fitting side, not just the collar. If it was just the collar, it would probably be alright, because I've got a few spares and whatnot. I could have snagged one off, but the inside part actually looks pretty good. So the damage was done on this end, on the 45. So, what a menace. I'm just trying to clean up the thread with a little triangle file, just to take off any kind of galling and that I've managed to get in there. Oh, what an egg. Might just grab a cap off one of the others and see if it screws on nicely. See, they should just screw on nicely, but no, we're all good. I think whether it holds or not, who knows. Hopefully it does. Now, see if we can get this back together. Have I done with it? There it is. See, I'll take this right off for a minute, check it. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good. Maybe. What an egg. What an egg. Okay, I think that's alright. Right, final straight. Okay, so this is the hardest part of this, is actually getting that little nipple thing there to actually seat right down, and I just was trying to push down on it and it tipped over and I just took skin off, and now I'm sulking a little bit. And then all of a sudden it just goes bloop, and it's in there, so we'll persevere. Oh, see, it just did it. Maybe that's the key, it's just to push directly down like that rather than that. Kind of makes sense actually when you say it out loud, but I don't know why it didn't occur to me earlier. But this is the last one, hopefully. Well, I might have to shorten the big one, the main line. That seems to be about it. Alright, so blow some air through these and test them on my little test rig. Okay, one down. Where's the little spanner thing gone? Oh. That seems all good. You get a little bit of a fart out of here when you first load it up. But it seems to be just the solenoid kind of sealing once it gets air pressure behind it. I think we're good. Get a little bit of noise, but I mean basically I'm trying to seal it with that air gun with masking tape that's really old wrapped around it. The masking tape's been on there for probably about 15 years. So it's probably a bit more like hard cardboard now than actual masking tape. Alright, so we are good to go, I think. Clamp this up here to make it a bit easier to work on. And that is my return. 45 on there. That's my return, yep. And go send. Actually, I want that. Right, so I'll grab some more tape, put some more tape on this because I want to, yeah, it doesn't really matter actually, doesn't matter because I'm going to bolt this up onto the petrol tank, the top of the tank, and then install the tank, you see, so you kind of have to anyway, don't you, so I'll wait. And that should be that. Now, take that and go and put it on top of the tank. Hopefully, we're all good. Okay, so got those on as you just seen. Now I've got to re-wrangle this tank up onto the jack and jack it up and strap it up, hopefully all going well. And then I've got to hook up my fuel sender. My fuel pump's still actually hooked up. I actually put quite a long cable on that for this very reason, but the fuel sender is quite short, so I had to disconnect that, but we wanted to test it anyway. So let's get this re-angled. Okay, so just down the back here, just investigating, and this is kind of how I had it set up before, but of course this PTFE stuff is way less flexible than the rubber stuff that was in there, and you know, which is not a bad thing because the other stuff was obviously too flexible and it was flexing its way to being undone and creating leaks. But with that being said, that was bolted up like that, and this was able to just kind of like hook in and go up over the step notch with a straight end on it, whereas I probably should have one of the 90s on here now, so it kind of like kicks off that way, and then it can curve up into the step notch. Either that, or you know, got to move this regulator filter somewhere, you know, else, and have it kind of kick back and move around and things like that. So just filling you in on my little update of what I'm doing. I haven't bolted the tank up properly yet. I'm still kind of like just making sure nothing was kind of hooked up in the straps and such. But yeah, so this isn't probably going to lie down as nicely as it did before, which is it's not a bad thing. I could probably, you know, kind of peg it down like that, but I don't know whether that's that big of a deal. I actually don't mind it because it doesn't flop around. I'd kind of rather it kind of like angled back that way and kind of stayed away from the exhaust a bit, even though it's rated for lots of heat and it shouldn't be that hot down here anyway. But yeah, I'm just wondering now whether I pull that and put a 90 on the end of that one, and then that's just loose. Yeah, we'll do it, have a look. Hey guys, so I thought I'd better check in, let you know what I've been doing. Okay, so I've actually relocated the regulator filter just slightly, so it kind of has a bit of a slightly different route. Pinned these back up, tank's tightened up, filler's not filled, connected up. That is connected up there, the fuel line that's going up there. I still think I'm going to have way too much. It's like doing big loop-de-loops down there, but I'm going to have to investigate that a bit more, maybe sort of put a few of the clamps and that on just to see where it's going to land and how much I need to take off up the front. So I've just got a couple things. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, all the loop-de-loops going up there and there, but I'll have to maybe put a few clamps and that on just to see how it's all going to land, and then trim it up from there. Before I do that, I just want to button up this stuff down the back, get the filler tube hooked back up again, and I've got a ground and a couple of clamps and my breather to attach up in the step notch. But first up, I gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here. Yeah. Right. Fuel filler. 7mm socket. I think that's it there actually. Right, I'll get that done. I won't film that, I only did a video on that a few weeks back. Hey guys, so battery's dying. I didn't end up shortening that main line coming up the front. I just kind of like mucked around with how I kind of routed it, get it away from the exhaust. Calm down, single barrel. I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well, but yeah, just kind of like reattached everything coming down the frame, and it's all P-clamped and all that kind of stuff all the way up the back and up and over the step notch, and connecting, it comes up and over the top of the step notch this time, just for a bit more of an even curve, and then, you know, reconnects back down here. I'm pretty sure I tightened that one, and she's all nice and tight. So that, lady and gentlemen, is the fuel system redone. Hopefully it holds fluid. Yeah, I just noticed before there's a little bit of power, I think it's power steering fluid. I need a torch actually. It's like, man, I just can't keep the fluids in this thing. Yeah, I noticed a wee kind of stain there on the ground, just there, and I see that looks like power steering fluid to me. pain in the ass thing with this front end. You can see a bit of redness around those fittings. Dang. They're obviously still leaking. Look, I've chewed one of them up. Oh, one of them's still leaking at least anyway. It could be that back one. But they're so hard to get to when there's a problem, you know. You can't even just kind of get in there cleanly and just pinch it up. You kind of got to get in, disconnect the hoses, drain the fluid, make a mess, and then try and tighten them up again. But looks like I'll be doing that again. Like I think I said before, I'm not even 100% sure whether I've got the right fittings in that rack. All the paperwork I got with the the Heights Mustang 2 front end didn't really specify what the fittings were, if you know what I mean. It's sort of, I guess they're expecting you to kind of, you know, just buy the front end, buy the power steering line kit, you know, buy everything through them sort of thing. But I don't even really know what the part numbers are that I have for that front end because I didn't buy it, you know. I've found reference to 2 different sort of types of front ends, racks in those Heights front ends from Heights, if you know what I mean. Like, there's some that kind of seem to be imperial, so maybe an older style, and then there are some that are metric. So go figure. I don't know what I've got. So if anyone's got any insight to that, let us know down in the comments. Okay, so it's getting a bit late in the day, so that's where I'm going to leave it for today. I'm not going to put any gas in it at this point. I'll leave it till tomorrow. So we'll see you then. But yeah, it took me a long time to make a few decisions on how I was going to do things, and a long time to get those bloody P-clamps back on again. They come off easy, but man, they're a wrestle to actually get back in when you're trying to like double up on the fixing points. But we got there in the end, minus a couple. But yeah, so hopefully that's the fuel system good now. But God, I don't know, I just can't keep fluids in this thing. It's still leaking oil. I think. Okay, so we're putting gas back in the Area 51. I'm just going to put about 10 litres or so in there, a couple of gallons, about half of what I got in this jug, just in case I end up having to drain it all again. Hopefully not, but you never know. I'm having trouble keeping fluids in this thing: petrol, coolant, oil, power steering fluid. We're yet to have a gearbox leak. That might come yet. Diff isn't leaking because it hasn't got anything in it. Early days. That should probably do us, I think. It's probably about half. Here's the lid. Gonna plug my fuel pump relay back in. If I can figure out which way up it goes. It's that way. That's that back. Now, chuck some power to it. Reconnecting the back tray. Actually, I'll pull that rag off of there now. Just sit that out there. I won't put the air cleaner back on just yet. Keep a rag handy just in case we have fuel leakage. Right, so turn the key, let it prime, and see what happens. Fuel pump priming. It's doing its thing. We'll go and have a look, see if we can see any leaks and whatnot, other than the usual oil and stuff. Nothing up here. You can see. Check the other side of the fuel rail and whatnot. Nothing there. Alright, grab a torch, come down the back and climb under here and have a look. Nothing as yet. Can't see on top of the tank unfortunately, but nothing dripping out, which is always a good thing. Right, so I might cycle that a couple of times and kind of let it do its thing, chicken wing. Okay, so so far so good. No fuel leaking. Haven't tried cranking it. I just cycled the key a few more times and let the pump prime and build pressure and whatnot. I won't try turning the key just yet, because that's where I'm going to leave this video on the Area 51 new fuel system. So hopefully it's a win and doesn't appear to be leaking at this stage, so that's good. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment. Let us know if I've done anything wrong. Hopefully it's all right. But make sure you tune into next week's video. Hopefully we can get this thing going. So don't forget, we're on the Instagram, Facebook, and most importantly right here on the YouTube. So until next time, take it easy and peace.